All right, many thanks, Ibrahim Dan Hamidou, for that background report. Joining us now for the conversation to talk about the resumption of the National Assembly. We have Ejirogene Francis Uwaive, Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Rules and Business, and member representing Uheli North and South Udu Federal Constituency. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much. You're used to my name now and my constituency.
Very used to it. All right. Also here for the conversation is Arms Free Ajanaku, Executive Director, Grassroots Center for Rights to Civic Orientation. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Rights and civic orientation.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you so much. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Honorable. I mean, it's obvious we'll just have to start with you. And, okay, let me begin with the charge, from the leaders of the National Assembly, both the President of the Senate and the Speaker, to the legislators when you were all going for your recess. And he did say that, of course, recess should not be a holiday, but a time for serious constituency work, project, and oversight. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, would you say legislators truly complied?
Oh, sure. Even yesterday, the Constitutional Review Committee met, public hearing at the national level. And before the national level, that committee particularly, taking it as an example, the committee also met in the 6 geopolitical zones, two venues per zone. That's they grouped 3 states together. So throughout this holiday, they were not sleeping. And they finished all of that now. That's an example. So I can go on to give examples of other committees. I was in Sokoto with the Constitutional Review Committee, for instance. Yesterday I was in Transcorp.
I was going to ask you to walk us through how you were able to balance your 2-month vacation,
yes,
and your constitutional duties.
Well, you have to find a way to do that because the vacation really, it's a time for you to get feedback from your constituents, and you can't do without that. Or otherwise, you'll not be an effective legislator. You have to reach back to your people. They'll talk to you, you talk to them. You tell them what's happening over here. They tell you what they feel, what they want, and you see what's on ground. So that mechanism must take place. So when you are not on oversight duties, you get back home. And particularly now that everywhere people are talking about the elections, you just have to be home. As much as you can.
So our members now fully ready to resume our legislative duties?
Sure. I know a number of members who have said they were getting tired of the holiday, staying at home, and the pressure that comes from being at home. The pressure when you're in your constituency because of where we find ourselves as a country.
All right. You say that the members of the National Assembly were busy. Maybe you can speak for yourself, because I don't know if you can speak for all the members. I mean, for the House of Reps and the Senate, because of course, yes, we did see quite a few, on TV in their constituencies and, different projects being launched, but so many were not visible. You also talked about some willing to resume. Why do you think some are very eager to resume?
This matter of legislative activity, it depends on the individual. Nigerians, constituents should look at your legislator. If he is not attending plenary, if he is not keeping his office hours at the constituency office, if he is not doing his job you elected him to do, if he's not involved in oversight, you will know. And then every 4 years you know what to do. That's what Nigerians should do. But I must tell you that the vast majority of the members of this 10th Assembly were busy all through. I don't want to take the whole time. After that, I'll give you details of committees, where they went, when and where and all that. You saw the one on the dam, the abandoned dam in the northeast that they visited. I saw it on NTA. So I can go on and give you several examples. So there are many who are very excited. In this 10th assembly, we have a crop of young legislators who are excited to be members of parliament and who wants to prove that they can do something. And those ones particularly, you have to try to stop them. As chairman of Rules and Business, I have like one member will have like 30 proposed bills, 20 proposed bills. And I keep saying, young man, you just came, calm down. You will be here in the 11th assembly and God help you in the 12th. You can't do all the bills in one assembly. And we are 360. We can't take you every day. So I can only list you on the other paper, maybe at best once in 2 weeks. So you have to start putting that gentle pressure on them. So that's why I say they are excited, they are eager to come back to work.
This eagerness, does this include the fact that, I mean, in the news we're hearing that members are complaining about the fact that contractors have not been paid who embarked in certain projects in their different constituencies. Could that be one of the reasons they are eager to return so that something can be done about that?
No, I think what you are saying now is already being handled. Not just for constituency projects, every project in the 2024 budget. The House, the honorable members are like, these are Nigerians who have done jobs in 2024. 2025 is coming to an end. They should be paid. A committee has been set up, and that committee is working. Your station reported the meeting with the honorable minister, and the resolutions taken. The circular that was provocative and causing the delay has been withdrawn. And project verification is ongoing. And I'm sure those that are verified are being paid. So that matter is already settled, as it were. So I don't think it's part of the reason why we are excited about coming back to work.
Okay. Because the papers still reported that story this morning. That's the reason I'm asking you.
Of course, the National Assembly is the whipping boy of Nigerian democracy. If your wife refused you last night, National Assembly must be the reason why. We know that during the military, there was no legislature. So when you are in a democracy and you are learning, it becomes missteps here and there, and you keep growing. Unlike the judiciary that was there during the military, though under this control and, and the executive, the military had their commissioners, ministers, and all that, so everybody knew what to expect, but not for the legislature. So it's still a learning curve. So if people keep throwing stones, I wouldn't be surprised, because even in mature democracies, I must say that legislatures all over the world are not popular. They are asked to do the needful always. They are put on their toes. We do peer review with legislatures in other countries. So we go there, we watch them in session. We go to their constituency office, we talk with them. We know what happens. Recently, the Public Accounts Committee hosted the West African Association of Public Account Committees of Parliaments in West African countries here in Abuja. And we, on the sidelines of the proper discussion, you talk with your colleagues, what happens in your place. They go through the same. If I was sitting during one session with a lady from, I think she was from Ghana, and she was getting a text message asking for money. At that same moment, I was sending money to somebody. So she said, that looks like you are sending money. So she showed me a phone.
Honorable Ivan, thank you. But leadership comes with some form of responsibility. I mean, that should also be part of your constituency project. The money is being sent to members of your constituents. But let's welcome Dr. Aminu Hayatu, who is of the Department of Political Science, Bayero University in Sorry?
Kano, yes.
Yes, Kano. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me bring in Amsfrey. Amsfrey is Executive Director, Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation, and I like that. And that's why Amsfrey, 2 whole months recess, and some legislators are eager to return. Some are probably have not had enough of the recess, and I'm just wondering what you think about calendar vis-a-vis other democracies?
Yes, so from the perspective of the citizen, we cannot say, the National Assembly, the legislature is not, doing its work. But the average Nigerian, that whole problem of perception between motion, and I think the introduction, to this program did a very brilliant work of outlining what those expectations are and what the loftiness of the citizens' understanding of how the legislative process should deliver on concrete realities in terms of their own lived expectations. So why the legislators, on the one hand, would say that, yeah, we are attending this conference, we are doing this, we are organizing constitution review. The citizen wants to prioritize substance over abstraction. And so I think that's where we see the disconnect. And even when the honorable member was talking about having to send alerts to someone and all of that, the citizen listening at home will be asking, some of the social investment programs which the National Assembly should be oversighting, have they been able to do a very thorough job of that oversight process? And so these are the questions that arise. But on the other hand, I would say that the current 10th National Assembly has been a National Assembly that has really given some room and some space for civic organizations to be engaged in the legislative process. Severally, I've been at the House of Representatives where I attended public hearing, made contributions, and you can see that there is an attempt to get to listen to civic voices and get those civic voices factored into the governance process. But again, that overarching issue of what citizens perceive, that would be the deliverable beyond the whole question of electoralism, electing people, the question of representation, the question of oversight, and the question of delivering the concrete gains of governance to the people is where we still have some sort of gap that, will make citizens question the entire process.
Okay, sorry, let me bring in Dr. Doc here with us. So do you think that the long recess, how do you think it affects, legislative lawmaking, really? Do you think does it hamper or, actually,
Okay, thank you once again. I think recess, whether long or short, should not be the question. The question is...
2 months?
Yeah.
2 months, and
yes,
then
you look at
intermittently, and in December, the National Assembly will go on another recess.
Yes, when you look at...
Recess takes place once a year. When we go on breaks, Christmas, Salah, you don't call those recess.
Well,
those are public
if
holidays.
you check the English dictionary of what recess means, it's break. You are taking a break, a short break.
Well, I think that I said whether it's long or short, you see, the business of the National Assembly is not like any other business. The only problem with the recess is that, as the honorable member has raised when I came in, when he said that constituents should check with their members and see whether they are there. It's just about if they are doing their function as expected. When the recess comes, it should be assumed that it is out of necessity that they are doing that, because they are engaged in daily, when people are going about with their businesses, they are always either doing committee work or attending the sessions and all that, making presentation, preparing papers and all that. I'm not a spokesman of the assembly, but I understand that their business is so tedious that psychologically, if you don't give, you don't understand why they should go on recess, then you must come to terms with when people are not able to perform their duties because of some health reasons and so on. So, but I think we should be more focused. The recess should be provided, citizens should be convinced, why they are going on recess based on justifications that will be provided. This is part of the accountability that's needed to be provided by them, so that, this whole lack of awareness, when you now bring them up, like we have the honorable member here, and you ask them, what's the justification for so recess that you went on so time? You say that we've debated on this is what we have concluded, and this is what was agreed, and so on. And then some new information is propping up from the, somewhere where citizens do not understand. So I have this feeling that, if anything, it is the National Assembly. Many of the questions you are asking here would have been made informed by the National Assembly to the public. I do not believe, the way sometimes we do work in a skewed way, that some things that have reasons beyond doubt would not be made to be understood by those who should hold those institutions accountable. It's really what, produces tension in the polity generally. And then in the end, when you contact someone and say, what is the reason for this, you hear cogent explanations that would have been made available from the onset, and things would. And then I think recess, if you check the origin of the recess, initially the French parliaments, where this modern democracy actually emanated from, have had very long sessions, throughout the year without this recess. And then there were members of those parliaments who were found to have gone under very serious, stressful conditions that could not attend their parliamentary duty. And then the debate ensued in the parliament as to how, these members can be allowed to take break. Initially, it didn't start as a general recess for everyone. It used to be timely. Some members will be allowed for a so period of time, while others were still attending there. But they later understood that there are some discrepancies in the process of debating ideas. And then while some people were not around, others would have taken decision on something that others would have contributed who were absent. So all these problems were resolved to say that assemblies should go on recess at the same time and come back at the same time.
All
so
right.
I think,
many thanks, Dr. Hayatu, for your comments. Let's get back to Honorable now. You spoke earlier about the members being very eager. Of course, Nigerians too are eager to have them back, hoping that some of the issues that have, heated the polity while you were on break, will be dealt with. For example, the increase in the fee for passports. That's one issue. There's so many other issues. But since you're a member, what are the issues you think would be front burner, once you resume?
First, I would say the issues that were on ground before we went on recess, we will continue from there. Each member, for instance, you have your bills. If they are at a particular stage, you want to move it to the next stage, first reading to second reading and so on. So that's number one. Then number two, the matters of urgent public importance in the various constituencies, members would want to bring them to the floor. And then three, the matters of national importance, not just limited to your constituency now. Members would bring them up, And then the next thing that everybody is looking at is the constitutional review. The Right Honorable Benjamin Okezekalu, the Deputy Speaker of the 10th House, has done a tremendous, very good work. And during this last quarter, we are looking forward to wrapping it up, because the committee divided the work into two. And so in this last quarter, that will be wrapped up. He's done a great job for this country. And with the Senate, I think we're going to harmonize and make a presentation to the state houses. But usually, when we come back from this recess, the major thing is the budget for the next year. So we'll be expecting the budget.
Do you think talking about the 2026 budget will be important at this time when the 2025, I mean, the implementation around it is not yet...
the way the budget is usually prepared, it has a lifespan. It is not the business of the legislature to execute the budget. And we did the budget 1st January to 31st December. We expect that the budget will be respected and implemented. Even during those days, when budget implementation was 10, 20, maybe 50%, it doesn't stop presenting for the next year. But in presenting the next year's budget, you discuss the previous. What were the challenges? What happened? So it doesn't stop presenting a new budget. A new budget must be presented, but then you discuss the previous. 2024, 2025 budgets have been implemented in terms of personnel, overhead, recurrent expenditure and all that. It's the capital aspect that has been challenging. I can't say, sitting here, that 2024 is going... It's getting to be completed shortly.
This is September, by the way.
Yes. It's the style of the new president. Previous presidents will just close the chapter. We've had situations in this country where monies are returned to the treasury, where there has been releases, you know. But I think that this government believes that we lose value for money. Take, for instance, before the present FCT minister, the previous one was returning money every year. If you look at what those monies could have done in terms of infrastructure in the FCT, the value of those nairas he was returning then is no longer the same. So the country has lost. So where you have a president that now insists on let's finish the work, I think we should appreciate the angle from which he's coming. Even if it looks like you're operating two budgets now, the capital content, or 2025, 2025 at the same time, we should appreciate the fact that this man wants to achieve 100% implementation. And this is his style. It's different from what we have seen in the past. And let's look at this style, whether it is working. We are here in the FCT. We can see what this style has produced, results. So I think we should allow the president to continue.
Don't you think that having two budgets or three budgets, because I mean, if you're working on 2026 very soon, so technically to look like about three budgets, I mean,
no.
So because 2024, well, about rounding off, 2025, I hear that by the end of the September, you know, the capital part of it will be fully implemented. But I mean, this is September, just like 3 months to the end of the year. And then when you pass the 2026, don't you think it would lead to certain issues, maybe corruption or anything?
No, no. By the time we are doing 2026 budget, 2026, the lifetime of 2024 and 2025 would have elapsed. The executive would have to seek for an extension of the life of those budgets if there is a need for that. But legally speaking, on the 31st of December 2025, the lifespan of those budgets would be over.
All right.
So the 2026 budget, when signed into law, becomes the budget in 2026. I do not see the presidency requesting for a further extension of the 2024 budget lifespan. You already said it would exhaust, you know, completely be executed, all the capital projects at the end of September. So it's 2025 that is the likelihood that the capital content will be extended further into 2026. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It's good for our country.
And we'll allow you to, you know, take a breather. We'll come back to you. And I also have a response to your earlier remarks about, you know, the quantum of, you know, issues that you have. You said if a woman refuses, the husband, the legislators will be blamed. I will respond to that when we come back, because we have Professor Kabir Mato, who is joining us via Zoom. Professor Kabir Mato, I'm sure you're smiling. You heard the honorable House of Reps member. But please, let's look at the constituency projects, visits, the oversight functions, and all the activities that legislators carry on during this period of recess, this whole 2 months of recess. I mean, we've all agreed that they need it, but let's examine it vis-a-vis public perception about accessibility, to their lawmakers and their representatives.
Well, thank you very much, Claire. Thank you very much, John. Good morning, Nigeria. I think the at the introduction of this program, you reported maybe correctly too that the National Assembly is complaining about the level of implementation of constituency project, whatever that may be. But what I do know very clearly is that the recess that the legislature often go into at least twice or three times annually is a necessary requirement of full-time legislature, which we run in Nigeria. A part-time legislature will not do this. And of course, the consultations between the legislators and their constituents is not only limited to when they proceed or recess, because what I see the parliamentarians do in most part of the country, and especially in the National Assembly, is that they get out of the country anytime it is this annual recess in August, September. So it's not necessarily a time for consultation. The National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly, all the members, have certain provisions in their various chambers that accommodate, the appointment of several qualified, ideally, citizens of their constituencies that will be, conducting the interface between them and, the members of the constituencies regularly. So the recess basically is not, in my opinion, a period of going back to your constituents. It's a period that you're expected to, do some of that, but then try to catch some rest, reflect on what has taken place during the legislative season, and then make sufficient plans for what's happened in the coming legislative session. So I think that's the major important issue about the recess, and whether it's serving any purpose in terms of the legislators' constitutional responsibilities of good lawmaking, oversight, and representation is another ball game altogether. But I think it's a necessary condiment that members of both the Senate, House of Representatives, and State House of Assembly will require from time to time, because we run a full-time legislature, so that they will be able to take stock of all they have done and what they need to do in order to move democracy forward. So that's really my and the issue of constituency projects that people keep talking about, in my view, is a necessary evil. Only that it may be faced with certain issues as far as the implementation strategy is concerned in Nigeria. Yeah, well, as a member, of course, you have peculiar information or knowledge of what are the issues in your constituency, what are the requirements of your people, and you present these requirements forward for the consideration so that it's captured within the national or state budget for implementation. The implementation of the constituency project, I think, has been what has been what is the challenge, and this, in my view, started as far back as 1999, 2000. When the government of President Obasanjo tried to pitch the Nigerian people against the legislature on the issue of that. And the parliament has not done any deliberate effort, to the best of my knowledge, to try to correct that perception. by ensuring that you simply advance the requirements of your people to the government and it's captured in either the state or national appropriation for implementation. Rather, the members of parliament will prefer to have the money secured in one ministry or agency so that they have direct, contact and probably capacity on how this money is expended at the end of the day. And the crisis is that in so many instances, a lot of these monies, and I recall in the last dispensation, the last parliament, in the last regime, especially between 1999 and 2019 and 2023, the ICPC was very busy, was very engaged in following up on a lot of these constituency projects because a lot of monies were said to have been removed for particular projects, which at the end of the day, in some cases, were found to be unavailable. So these are some of the issues I think that the parliament going forward will have to really re-strategize and think about. And I'm not, like I keep saying, blaming the parliamentarians for a lot of, their demand on engaging on capital expenditures or capital projects for the respective constituencies, because that only happens where you have the weakness or relative absence of the executive state in the provision of this basic, social amenities that the communities require in order to have improved life.
There's news flash that just come in now that both chambers of the National Assembly have shifted resumption of plenary to October the 7th. Again, news flash, both chambers of the National Assembly shift resumption of plenary to October the 7th. Let's come back to the studio. I wanted to talk to Honorable Ejiro, when you mentioned the issue of a woman denying the husband. And the thoughts just came to me that if that should happen at the National Assembly, you can bet that the debate will never end. Yeah, the debate will never end. So if you put it on the other paper, you know the debate will never end. And you will not go for recess. So please don't even go there.
All right. I'd like to get to Ajanaku because I'd like you to react to this extension. Of course, news flew in this morning, or rather a little bird, announced this morning that, the 2 months seems not good enough, or
it's not enough. Not good enough. It's not enough.
Okay, it's not enough. So there's need for an extension. What are your thoughts, really? Because the average Nigerian watching development, Claire was trying to talk about 2 months, the length. Isn't that too much? Because for a civil servant, for example, you're just given a leave of 1 month in a whole year. I think about 40 days. That's it, maximum. So this is 2 months and now 2 weeks added to it. And with all the issues that Honorable has told us, talking about 2026 budget, and so many other issues, you begin to ask, what time would they have to do proper legislative duties that would deliver the dividends of democracy to Nigerians?
Absolutely. Even within the 2 months, one of the thoughts that came to my mind, given the national emergency that Nigeria faces, when you look at it from the point of view of security, a lot of the incidents that have happened, I would have thought in my mind that even the National Assembly will think about cutting short the 2 months recess and resuming, given the scale of the challenges that we face as a country, and given the fact that the voice of the National Assembly in terms of representation, in terms of even oversight of the security agencies, for example, is something critical to do at this time. And so the way it comes across to any Nigerian, there's no theory you will want to use to explain it to the Nigerian out there that after the 2 months, we're now extending it by almost, close to another 2 or 3 weeks before the National Assembly comes back to start deliberating on issues of critical national importance. Yes, there is also that whole argument that, yes, some work is going on, but the National Assembly of Nigeria should come to terms with the fact that in a lot of aspects, Nigeria is at war. Nigeria is at war against insecurity. Nigeria is at war against poverty. Nigeria is at war against inflation. And so these issues demand not a somnolent, like maybe just a relaxed National Assembly. It demands a National Assembly that has its hands on the wheel, that is driving the process of governance and ensuring that it's able to hold the executive accountable and also push the executive on some things that have to do with the welfare and the well-being of Nigerians. So on that score, I think it's not a good look for the National Assembly to be contemplating or already talking about that they are extending that. Then, having said that, there are a number of issues that are also germane, which the National Assembly has a responsibility to look at before the year runs out. And I would mention, for example, the electoral process.
Before we even get to that, just give that. Before we get to that, let me just quickly take the news flash that just came in. Again, the National Assembly reschedules resumption date of plenary. The two chambers of the National Assembly have rescheduled resumption of plenary from today, Tuesday, the 23rd September 2025, to Tuesday, the 7th of October 2025. A statement from the clerk to the National Assembly, Kamoru Ogunlano, explains that the shift is as directed by both chambers and regrets inconveniences caused by the postponement. The statement adds that committee activities would, however, continue. I mean...
You see, this is what I've been telling you. He said that the clerk explains that it is directive from both chambers, and the explanation stops there. We all do not have information as to why the extension. We can just say extension taken too far, recess taken too far. Because now...
so you think there should be a little more explanation?
No, unless you make everything transparent. People will not understand the reason. We are all, at least we are reasonably educated here, but we're also asking questions. My colleague here is saying that there are a lot of burning issues in the country. How do we address them on recess? And there are issues of national emergency. When a question of just, things, normal day-to-day things. These are issues of national emergency that really need the National Assembly's attention. But
this is just less than 2 weeks.
Yes, so if there is any reason, because in fact, this should even be debate. Should give room for citizens in the country to debate about whether really they feel that this, because they are representing the people, their constituency, they fall back to what the people want. When your constituents are asking that you are going for a very long recess, and they don't have explanation to provide, it means that because you are going for recess on their own behalf. So they don't see reason why you should go on recess if they don't understand the reason why you're going on recess. And I think representation is not just about, people to sit down and watch what happens, what unfolds, and give themselves explanation. In Nigeria, in this country where we are, there are a lot of already misinformation, disinformation, post-truth, a lot of fake news, all over the space. When you give it an opportunity, citizens begin to doubt whether, you are competent to be there because of certain things, just because there is absence of information on the reason for the extension. When there is an extension for something, there must be a reason.
Okay, let's try and see if we can get an insight. Not we're not putting on Abuja on the spot, but just to give us an insight. Normally, what would be a reason, for any legislator to probably extend, a recess? Just give us an insight.
You're putting me on the spot.
No, and I'm sorry, yes, because you probably wouldn't want to tell us why, but just give us an insight.
I probably wouldn't want to tell you why.
You want to know why?
Well,
Tell us why.
You said it's breaking news.
Yes.
So I'm here while it's been announced.
So it's breaking to you too?
Yeah, that's what. That's
But
what
I want to say to my brother here that the issues he raised, some of them take inflation. Inflation is going down. Everybody has acknowledged that. So it's not a matter that is urgent to. There have been times in the past where we're called back from recess, particularly in the Ninth Assembly, to come back to discuss urgent matters. So we do that. That we have not done it this time is because there were no such critical issues of national. Meanwhile, the committees were working. We must give it to this government that the inflation is coming down because you referred to that. So our country is getting better. And then I must also say that those in leadership would have looked at a number of things. For instance, next week is Independence. And ordinarily, even if we had resumed, say, 15th of September, for instance, when you get to the week of Independence, you wouldn't sit that week also. So resuming today would ordinarily mean you sit this week, and next week you are off again for Independence. I'm just trying to make sense out of the breaking news, and But
can you make Nigerians understand? You talked about the fact that oversight functions continues. Speak to us about the benefits to members of the National Assembly. Are all your benefits intact when you're on recess?
It's if you look at recess as a time when you don't work. And then if you look at the average worker, when you're on leave, you still get paid. In fact, you are paid leave allowance. But we are not paid a recess allowance. If anybody brings
There's
that
no
up...
leave allowance. You are paid your salary. There's no leave allowance.
You say?
We don't get leave allowance.
No leave allowance.
In NTA?
No leave allowance for civil servants.
Okay.
If you are on leave, you.
So we
yes,
don't get recess allowance. I've never been in the civil
Are there
service.
allowances for your oversight functions and all?
No, just provisions for it. For instance, if I'm going to go to FRCN for an oversight, there must be a provision of vehicle to get there. There must be water to drink. Wine.
Anyways.
So all those basic
okay,
things.
so technically the benefits are not changed.
Sorry. You know, because he is a representative. I mean, you are a lawmaker.
Yeah.
You have your constituents. They are watching at this moment. I do understand you don't want to go into details of the, resumption shift. But just give us some clarity. Your constituents would certainly want to know, I mean, if this delay won't affect, other legislative assignments.
I don't think so because, usually in Parliament, the size of the order paper depends on what is happening in the country at the moment, I am Chairman Rules and Business. The order paper we had prepared for today and the notice paper for the week was very light. 2 motions, 2 bills, second reading bills, and that kind of thing, So when there are serious matters as we go on, you could get up to 10, 15 second reading bills. So if anything comes up within these 2 weeks, it simply means that we should be getting ready for longer sittings when we resume. It means that it's going to be more work and more stress to the individual members. If you look at the legislative work, one of the things that affect us mostly is stress. And you find that many times when people leave the National Assembly, they don't live long. And for many who are there, they go through stress-related diseases. In the Ninth Assembly, we lost, is it 9 or 10? In this assembly, we've lost quite a good number. I don't want to talk about negatives.
All right. So
it means it's quite a pressure being in the National Assembly. But you beg to apply, and your constituents sent you there. Okay. So they didn't force you in.
All right.
But nothing will get bad. When we resume, we'll load our order paper, and we'll tackle everything that needs to be tackled. Remember, time passed, we've given up our Christmas holidays. While Nigerians celebrating Christmas, we're working. We've done that in the past, and
Okay.
we'll still do that again.
All right, many thanks. You spoke earlier about the members who were eager to resume. I'm sure they'll be disappointed with this breaking news, like you claim it is. But speak about internal.
You said it's breaking news.
But you also said it's breaking to you. I'm a bit surprised about that. But speak about internal squabbles. I mean, this assembly we've seen a lot of issues, contentions amongst members. Do you think that with this resumption, there'll be some form of, I do not know the word to use, some form of peace, amongst members? Are we going to see all the issues, in different quarters being laid to rest? Or you think that Nigerians should get prepared for another phase of, issues, especially political tensions now that we're planning towards 2027? Or rather, politicians are already scheming towards 2027.
If you study the parliamentary year session in each assembly, you'll notice that where we have gotten to now, it's no longer the time when it's popular to rock the boat, because at this time most people are thinking about re-election. We have a year, 6 months thereabout left. Most people are now thinking about how to get re-elected. So I do not foresee any, not even a storm in the teacup. I don't expect that to happen. Most people are looking forward to how they will secure their own seats. I don't see any problem coming up. No, the time for that is when you elect your leaders newly, committee chairmen are appointed, and there's some dissatisfaction. And then as the tenure goes on, there's some conflict. We've passed that stage. We have reached a stage where each person is looking forward to the 11th Assembly. In fact, if you look at the trend, during this kind of period, attendance dwindles, because those who don't used to do things in their constituency will now be more focused there, attend town hall meetings, try to garner support, make sure you win the primaries. So it makes activities on the floor normally to slow down. I'm not saying that's what is going to happen now, because when we resume, it's going to be a full flare of activities, particularly because of the budget that the time to handle has become shorter,
All right, Honorable Ejire, thank you. Professor Mato, in the sense that the average Nigerian, the constituent, can understand and apprehend and can relate with, what, from your perspective, is or should a productive legislative year entail? In terms of, is it in terms of the number of bills passed, or is it in terms of, effective budget, implementation oversight? I mean, just give us your perspective.
Well, thank you very much. Let me start with the issue of budget before I come to the issue of lawmaking. Yes, budget is an integral part of lawmaking. In fact, it is the most important law that any legislator makes. But in the Nigerian scenario where we have a new development that two budgets run concurrently, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's not in tandem, with the provisions of Western liberal democracy. Yes, it is allowed that if what is budget, by the way? Budget is simply a financial statement of income and expenditure of any particular government for a period of 1 year. And regardless of, it's just recently that we returned to January, December, frame. It used to be from April until the 31st of March the following year. But what we have today is that we have a legislature that continues to roll over, a budget. We know that if a budget is before the National Assembly and it's unable to be passed, the federal government will have a grace of about 3 months or so within which to ensure that everything is coupled so that a new proposition, can come up for. So I'm saying, therefore, that the expectation of Nigeria will be to see that the government has absolute respect for appropriation laws. The appropriation law is the most important law that any legislature makes. And in the case of Nigeria, the National and State House of Assembly, the appropriation law is most important. So there must be respect for it. It's not a guarantee that government should continue to, throw last year's expenditure over this year. There are ways and means of accommodating same projects that are ongoing in the new proposals. So why do you have to continue to do that? That's one area. I think Nigerians will gladly like to see a very clean slate, in terms of the implementation of our appropriation laws from one year to the other. That's one. Secondly, the issue of lawmaking. I don't expect that the parliament should be a rancor-free enterprise. Not at all. Anytime that the parliament is so quiet and in tandem, working with the executive arm of government, then of course citizens have reasons to be scared. Citizens have reasons to be afraid because it suggests a lot of collusion. It suggests a lot of, personal satisfaction or personal interest of those who are in the executive and the legislative arm of government. The essence of the legislature, especially the House of Representatives in the Nigerian case, is to continue to interrogate and ask questions about a lot of issues that are ongoing. Somebody spoke about the issue of security and, the extension. Why wouldn't the National Assembly resume so that they continue to, agitate and take positions as far as the dilapidating national security situation in the country is concerned? That's quite, of course, a legitimate thing. But we have seen in several instances where the best that the National Assembly does is to summon service chiefs, to summon relevant security officials to come and make explanations over certain happenings, and the matter simply dies down there. So it's ineffectual because they don't have the capacity to implement any issues. So I'm saying that Nigerians will expect a National Assembly, a vibrant National Assembly that will continue to interrogate a lot of the issues that are being put forward by the executive arm of government. There are many policies there that so many Nigerians are challenging, which the legislature does not see as any problem, and the citizens see as a lot of problems. Now, the challenge simply puts the executive arm of government on the right track to be able to do what is right, because the legislature is closer, to the electorate than, for instance, the governor or even the chairman of local government or even the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the member of the assembly should normally know the nitty-gritty and details of what the situation and what the problems with the constituents are, and bring it up at the level of parliament for the attention of the executive state so that such problems are addressed, such problems are ameliorated in order to advance the cause of governance and democracy in our society. But, in the last 2 years, honestly, my assessment of the National Assembly as far as this, I'm not asking for I'm not asking for crisis, for God's sake. I'm not asking for crisis. I always give an example of when we started this journey in 1999 to 2007, given the background of President Obasanjo, a former military head of state, and so many other things. And then the vibrancy of the legislature, especially the House of Representatives, that is populated by very young, and vibrant citizens that require explanation for any action that is taken. I think that's technically lacking in this parliament, which I think in the next 2 years, if you want us to return you, it's not going into campaigns now. What you need to do is to show us in practical terms that you are really representing us by asking questions. The executive is not always wrong, but it's not also always right. A situation where everything is forced or passed down the throats of the parliamentarians, I tell you, does not signify a healthy working relationship between the two major arms of government. Well, what it does, I remember, as a student of political science, I should tell you the parliament is the most important of the three organs of government in democracy. The constitution has not said so. But wherever a constitution is listing the three arms of government, it starts with the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. It does not say one is more important than the other. But then the parliament, anywhere it is the foundation of democracy.
let me beg you to to hold on. We'll quickly take a short break. When we come back, I'd like to also ask the House, because, you know, some MDAs have often complained of half or delayed releases of their capital projects. And we would like to find out if how much oversight weight, you know, has the legislature brought on the implementation of capital, you know, the budgets 2025, and of course the capital project of the 2024, you know. But that's when we come back from this break. Welcome back to the program. Good morning, Nigeria, live on the network service. We're having an interesting conversation. I know, Yeri, you want to take the next questions or set of
We have
comments?
messages,
Okay.
you know, from our viewers. By the way, if you want to send in your questions or comments, please feel free. The number is on the screen. I'll just quickly read a few. This one says, most of these legislators are eager to return to Abuja, not for patriotism, but for personal gains. Watch and see if they will sit in Abuja come next year. Many of them only know Abuja in the first 2 years. I mean, it's what you also stated, you know, trying to get re-elected. So they begin to move around. The next one says the ongoing constitutional amendment should look into the issue of national legislators to be part-time in order to cut the cost of governance. Some of the legislators spend weeks in Abuja but hardly attend to their legislative businesses. And that's coming from Dr. Usman. Another one says it's unfortunate that members of the National Assembly who are not on part-time have a particular number of days in a year to serve the people. They are toying with Nigerians. Hope their allowances are not also extended. That's coming from Jack Abba from Makurdi. This one says, good morning. Please, is the long National Assembly break not justifying the advocacy for a part-time system of legislation?
Okay, let the Honourable Member take this question before.
Well, if you have been in Parliament, you will know that it's a full-time job. All over the world, in most democracies, I would say, it's not a part-time, because it's, particularly when you running a presidential system, it's impossible to, and then even if you do a parliamentary system. But when you do a hybrid, some countries do a hybrid, and some just do a novel system, and then they add and remove some things from the presidential and the parliamentary to get their own systems. But if you want to do part-time in Nigeria, it will be very challenging. The people think, the only people who talk about part-time think legislative work is only done on the floor, that's in plenary. But the truth is that what happens in plenary is just a show. If I were going to plenary today, for instance, I could be on my hat and my wrapper and, you know, my
traditional attire.
Yeah, my traditional attire. But when I'm going for committee work, I won't do that. I'll be smartly dressed and ready to
Sweat it out.
Sweat it out. So the parliament work is usually at the committee level.
The oversight work you talk about so much,
Yeah.
what has been some of the great impacts, you know, to how services rendered to Nigerians? I mean, the different agencies that you oversight. Because, I mean, rarely these days do we get to see you raise issues of concern. I mean, if you go to an institution and things are not working well, it's just very few times that we get to hear about that. So how well are you doing the oversight function that you talk about as your main duty? Yeah,
the reason why you don't hear about that so much is because bad news for National Assembly is what sells. Good news does not. I'll give you an example. A few months ago, just before I went on break, the Public Accounts Committee again, for instance, brought a report which I listed, which was passed by the Committee of the Whole and then passed by the House, indicting a couple of agencies, being asked to refund hundreds of millions, even billions in some cases.
But if that is not reported, who is to blame?
No.
If it's not reported.
Our job is to do it on the floor. Our job is not to start running around every agency. You see, is the news media, the fourth estate of the realm, we call it. You are the one, or the fifth, you are the one that you pick up that news and make sure it serves round. Do we have to, go around and start ringing a bell and say, that didn't, that's an example. I'll give sir, I can give you several other examples. You see something that is going wrong and you ask that the particular head of that agency be changed. And before you know it, the news media has been compromised not to give publicity to that. So that's the challenge we face.
What about the many closed-door sessions you have when you go on such sites?
Closed-door sessions. Many of the closed-door sessions, there are some, for instance, we went to Maiduguri the other day, and we had this, we went around, we saw what the military is grappling with. By the time we want to now deal with sensitive matters about their postings and what happened yesterday.
What makes them
you have the
sensitive?
press out.
What makes them sensitive? I mean, because
You want to tell your
No, security-
opponent
security might say
how the military is being deployed. You want to mention specifically those lives that were lost at such point. You don't want to do that.
We understand
But
that.
then if you even go into, the other day we were in Kano to look at the electricity distribution company. After they've done everything they should do, you now are scrutinizing their books. You don't want to indict somebody who, there are some things you may not understand. And you are now asking, why is this like this? And I'm an accountant by training. There are some who may not be. And then they see a figure in the book, and then they ask a question that might be out of point. But then the press might pick it and say that problem is there in the Kano disco.
Honorable Jure, let's
So those are some of the things. But Nigerians have reached a conclusion that at the closed-door sessions, money changes hands. I wish it was so, because when I got into National Assembly...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wish it was so. If you check the proportion of those who are affluent while they are there and those who are affluent when they leave, the proportion is very small. Take those who found their vehicles and everything, who have left. I don't want to call any name. Check the number of those who were there at the same time with them. Many are suffering and many are dead. Now, if you look at what happens, when I got in newly, I had a small challenge, and somebody gave me an advice. Say, when you get into the assembly, be prepared to lose friends, because you won't meet their demands, all of them. Prepare to lose your health, because you are going to be, the stress will be heavy.
Honorable Jure, I'm sorry, I have to...
Also prepare to lose your wealth.
Please,
if you came in with ₦1 million,
yes,
by the time you are leaving, be sure that you are owing 10 million.
Honorable Jure,
So be careful.
Sorry, can I ask you to pause a bit, because we have more questions, and we're running out of time, so that we can take some more questions from our guests. So this is from Abraham. He says, let the National Assembly inform the masses about constituency projects and the amounts. He says, Nigerians are left in the dark. The honorable member should explain why you postponed your resumption. Then there's this one, no name. Good morning, beautiful people on NTA, both to staff and invite. Okay, this is Francis. I'm very much impressed with the discussion of today. One of the invited guests talked about NASS duties on oversight as it relates to the social welfare funds transferred into the accounts of vulnerable Nigerians. I highly doubt and have my reservation if NASS has been diligent in carrying out these oversight functions. And like I also said, the oversight, what is the oversight weight that you bring to bear in the implementation of capital releases and all that? Because a lot of MDAs complain of either the delay, half releases, or have not even received their capital.
Yeah, I'll begin from the value of constituency project. It's there in the open. It's always stated in the annual budget. If you don't want to do the hard work, there are some civil society organizations that help with that. Budget it, for instance. So these days, on your phone, you can Google it and get it. So to say that value is being hidden, it's not true at all. It's clearly stated in the budget. and you have access to the budget online and everywhere. Talking about
Resumption shift?
I'll first deal with the one on
welfare. Oversight. Yes.
Yeah, oversight is being done. Take the social welfare. I don't want to go into very specific names, but you will find what has happened in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. I must say that Parliament played a great role to bring to bear the fact that some things were going wrong. It's it's part of the legislative oversight, the derivative that we got from that. But of course, we didn't get the benefit of the applause, because we are never applauded for anything that we have done right. And there are many things that
you keep saying that. You keep saying that.
Yeah,
these gentlemen have praised the National Assembly.
Oh, thank you very much.
They have had good words. Professor Mato has also said good words.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So I think you need to be more transparent and accountable.
Thank you.
Because he has parried the issue of the shift in resumption date. But I think we should let him be. Yes.
I think starting from that very last point that the honourable member made about appreciation, we in civil society are not in the business of demonizing this key institution of the state, because we know that it's a partnership to deliver the gains of democracy, the benefits of democracy. Because if we say that democracy must have a utility value, or what is called the utilitarian value of democracy, then you can't but work towards a key institution like National Assembly succeeding and delivering those gains to the Nigerian people. And you can also see it from the comments that have come in so far, that people want the process to work. People want the institution to be able to deliver. People want to see successes for which some of the frustration we see is, number one, I think National Assembly also needs a lot of proactive disclosure of information. So some of the reactive disclosure of information we see, people have to push, people have to, kind of in the social media parlance, drag before information comes out, is also a part of the problem. And then, even before we came on set, I was discussing with the honorary member where he said, in terms of civil society work, he has been a pillar of support for the civil society in the National Assembly. I applaud that. We would like to collaborate. We would like to be able to take some of these good things that are happening. But if we also see things that are not working well, we should be able to look them in the eyes and say this is not working well,
exactly.
and the Nigerian people are not happy about this.
Ansri, thank you. Please, we just maybe 60 seconds, because we have...
Before we hear from Dr. Hanatu as we round off, there's this comment here from a viewer. It says, hello, good morning, Nigeria. I'm Ahmed Ibrahim. If a legislator in the House claims to be unaware of the sudden extension of recess, does this not point beyond the lack of unity to deeper issues of transparency, internal governance, coordination, and respect for due process in the Senate and House of Reps when urgent crises are facing Nigerians? I think Dr. should respond.
No, I just want to say that I think, in my viewpoint, the National Assembly need to be
60 seconds,
more proactive, like he said, because you blow your own trumpet. He made them mention that they're not going to go chasing media men to come under, but they have to, because this is part of the accountability that is expected by Nigerians. And you have to strategize as an assembly representing the people. So if it means, going to the extent of producing this information for the public so that they don't ask any further questions, they are convinced and satisfied with what you are doing. Because already you are explaining here, Honorable, and I think that this kind of explanation should be made open to the public even when you are not here.
Thank you. Professor Mato, in 60 seconds, please. In 60 seconds, what do you think should should the gavel strike first? Is it budget, 2026 budget? Is it the constitution amendment or electoral reform?
Well, I think electoral reform here is most important. Budget is necessary. Budget is critical. You can't do without the budget, but not in the manner that the present administration is handling it. And most importantly, also, I think it's time for the Senate to realize that it is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and its leadership must not, assume all powers, of the Almighty. So what I'm saying in essence is that there is a need for the Senate to respect the ruling of a court and allow the senator that was suspended for a long time to return to the Senate. It's an allegation that is under prop, and I don't think if the president of the Senate is a Senate, he's just first among equals. And it's a mockery on Nigeria's democracy, it's a mockery on the Nigerian Senate, and I think all well-meaning Nigerians should take to the Senate so that, Senator Natasha is called back immediately. It's a national embarrassment.
Sorry, hold on. Yes, you have the last word.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 10th House of Representatives has brought in open NASS a week every session, every year, where you can go in and ask any question. You can see anything. Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, as Speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker, has instituted the open NASS. And this 10th Assembly is one of the most open in the history of our country, and it's going to be more open as we push for that. So
are you going to be open to Ibrahim's comment? Ibrahim Wada, she just read a comment, a message from Ahmed Ibrahim. Ahmed Ibrahim says, a legislator in the House claims to be unaware of the sudden extension of recess. Does this not point beyond a lack of unity? No, please, we don't want to push you, but can you give in 60 seconds?
Yeah, we got the breaking news of the postponement this morning. And so we're going to interrogate it, of course. And it was signed by the clerk. Members are going to interrogate it, of course.
All right, thanks. It's time to put off our mics and...
Indeed.
I like that. Yes, we need to put off our mics. Oh, you didn't get your 60 seconds. We have put off the mic. So some other time we will give you the opportunity. Thank you so much for being our guest. We do appreciate you. Dr. Aminu Hayatu, Department of Political Science, Barrow University, Kano. Thank you so much for being our guest and sharing your insights with us. Professor Kabiru Mato, political scientist, who joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much, Prof, for your thoughts and comments on the program this morning. You are deeply appreciated. And of course, Amsri Ajanaku, please remind us next time you're here that we need to extend your mic when next you come.
When the Senate resumes.
When the Senate resumes officially. Yeah. Amsri Ajanaku, Executive Director, Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation. It was indeed a pleasure. Thank you so much. And yes, you got the breaking news from us, so you need to maybe, tip us or something. I mean, Ejirogan Francis Wive, Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Rules and Business, and member representing Ughelli North and South Udu Federal Constituency. It was indeed a delight to have you. Thank you so much. And of course, wishing you all the best as you resume, in a few days. And we hope to...
Few weeks.
Okay. All right. We hope it's not extended further, by the way. So yes, and of course we hope to have you back, when resumption kicks off, and of course all the issues that we have talked about. So that's Good Morning Nigeria this Tuesday. Thank you for watching. I'm Yan Ray John. Don't touch the dial.
I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.